Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Enough talking already. Let's get busy scrumming. With today's quilt, we are going to do something called scrumming. Scrap quilting plus crumb quilting equals scrum quilting. Oh yeah, I made that up. In today's video, I am going to scrum quilt with a theme. I'm looking in all the bags and all the bins for florals, dots, stripes, and any plaids that I may come across. As I was sorting through all of this, I kept in mind that it didn't matter whatever the color was, as long as it fit the criteria of those things that I just said, it was on. Whatever scrums I didn't choose went into a clear bag for another day, for another adventure. Whenever I know I'm going to be using a lot of starch, I always lay something over my pressing station in order to protect the cotton fabric on it as long as I possibly can. These small pieces of crumb fabric will be easier to handle if we starch them. Having a theme like the scrum quilting for this quilt was so much fun. Take a look at all of my piles of my beautiful scrums, all starched, pressed, and ready to go. The first thing I did for this scrum quilt was to grab all of the smaller crumb pieces of fabric, connect them together in 2 patches, 3 patches, and in some cases 4 patches. When working with small crumb pieces of fabric, it's best to open up the seam and press them open. It just makes things less bulky that way. And besides, my plan is to free motion quilt this entire quilt when I'm done, so we'll see. That's the plan anyways, but you know, plans change. Whenever I make any type of scrappy project, I always incorporate diagonal cuts. Those types of cuts add so much interest to the quilt. So you can see our tiny crumb pieces of fabric are growing into a bigger piece of scrappy fabric. Now it's time to sew in a bigger piece of scrap fabric to the crumb smaller pieces of fabric. Be sure to audition that larger piece on all 4 sides just to make sure you have it just where you want it. Now I did sew 1/4-inch seams where I could, and I also did press after I added each piece to make sure everything laid nice and flat. Oh, I love this polka dot floral that I'm adding in right now, and it was just a long strip. And you see there, I trimmed off the edge of the crumbs to make sure that it was a nice seam all the way down. After pressing and trimming this particular block, I felt like it was done. All of my blocks had 4 wonky sides. They ranged all different sizes, around 10 by 10, 10 by 11. Some were much bigger and some were very small. And to be honest, I never measured any of my scrum blocks until I was getting the information ready to do the voiceover for this video. Let me show you how I sashed around these beautiful scrum blocks. From salvage to salvage, I cut 5-inch strips. The first step in this process was to cover 2 opposite sides of each other with these 5-inch strips. If you try this, make sure to have overhang off to the sides, because once you sew that 1/4-inch seam allowance down, since our angles are all wonky, you may need extra coverage on the white there, so just be prepared for that. I then pressed it real good and then trimmed the edges to meet the sides of the wonky block, and I did the same thing with the opposite side. And since we have so much going on in one block, I made sure to do all of my cuts only after the pressing stage. Next, I take another long strip that's 5 inches in width and add it to one side. Stitch it on, press it, and then trim it. And then I add on that 4th side. On that 4th side, I did end up measuring and made my cut prior, but still had overhang to make sure that I was able to meet that edge. And then I pressed and trimmed everything up. Now it's time to look at this block. Which way do you want it orientated on your quilt? When you know it, mark a T for top. And here I wanted that point going upward. I want my blocks to be 17 inches squared. So I'm going to take my long ruler and find around the center of this block. I took into account the corner on the left there and the corner on the right, and I made sure that I had equal distance adding up to 17 inches. So say there was 2 inches off to the right of that corner and 2.5 inches off to the left. I would scoot it over to the right more to have equal distance from each of those corners, but yet making it 17 inches across. Oh my word, it sounds so confusing when I say it, but I do hope that you understand how I'm explaining it. You just want to make sure that your colored fabric is equal amounts away from the edge of your ending block. After you have the sides of your blocks cut at 17 inches evenly across how you want it orientated, then you're going to turn your block and line up those edges on the lines on your mat, on your cutting station there. And then you want to measure, being sure that you line up those lines, measure 17 across again, and then make your marks and then go ahead and cut them. This is what you should have so far. Now we're going to add the corners on each corner, all 4 corners of this block. You'll take pieces of that 5-inch in width white fabric that you cut, and you might even use some scraps from the earlier cutting that you did on some other blocks. This tip that I'm about to tell you is very important so that it doesn't mess you up. You're going to pin all 4 corners on right now before you go to the sewing machine. You don't want to do them one at a time. It is so easy to get confused at this point because it's in that hexagon type shape. So once you get it all pinned, take it to the sewing machine, do your 1/4 inch seam allowance, press the seams open, and then next you're going to trim all that excess off of there. And you should be left with a 17 inch by 17 inch squared block when all is said and done. This is called setting on point in quilting. And since all of my blocks are going to be totally different and my points are going to be pointing in totally random directions, it's going to take some time to set all of these on point, but I think it's worth it. Here are all of my scrum blocks up on my design wall. It just needed something on the sides, so I had to make 2 more blocks. I had to make these last 2 blocks though a little bit larger because I had to account for that seam allowance that was going to be needed when I added it to the quilt. Check to see if it'll look better if you slice it across or up and down. What's going to give you that better crumb block? When you figure that out, fold it in half, make a memory crease, and then just go for it and slice it right up the center. So now with the side blocks, we have a total of 18 blocks altogether that we need to sew all together. Once you're sure on the placement and orientation of all your blocks, here's a tip for you. I mark 1 through 18 on every single block with a heat erasable pen. That way I know the order in which I'm to sew them if I get mixed up, because the orientation is totally different on every block, so it's really easy to mess up. After I add every block, I always press to keep everything nice and flat. I felt like it needed to be a little bit longer, so I added a top and bottom border only, all done in Scrappy and with the white. After I added the top and bottom border, I did stay stitch around this entire quilt top, because I hate seams that open up when I handle the quilt as I'm working with it. So I think this will really help in the end since we had so many seams. Before I show you my scrum quilt top, Josephine has something to tell you all. Oh my word, I just love my granddaughter. Be sure and tell me in the comments what you think of my scrum quilt. This is only part 1 of 2 videos. Be on the lookout for part 2. Take a look at your screen right now. I have hand-picked some of my best Scrappy Crumb tutorials just for you if you loved this video. Go ahead, click one of them, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.